Hello guys, welcome back. Today's video is from Africa Hub. Jeffrey Sachs exposes the shift nobody's talking about. Oh, are you ready for this one? I'm ready, guys. Let's jump in.
The core idea is that Africa could have the same kind of catching up that Asia has had over the last 40 years. I think this is a real possibility. It's by no means a guarantee, but I don't regard Africa as a basket case or hopeless any more than I would have ever said that Asia fit that description. But the mainstream idea is that Africa is doomed to poverty. This, I think, is wrong because no region is doomed to poverty. I actually think that Africa's best hope is a close partnership with China, which would be a win-win proposition for China and for Africa.
That's true, that's a fact. And the only reason why Africa is in the same position, poor, it's only because Africans cannot defend themselves, military speaking. You know what I'm saying? We know that all those countries are plotting against Africa. They want its resources, mineral, stuff like that. And because we don't have strong leaders that can make the good deals, protect the soil, protect the people, that's why we keep losing. You know what I'm saying? And it's not different with China. China is coming up there, hey guys, I want this, you guys need that, let's do business. But if we have weak leaders that only want to loot, steal the money for themselves and their families, that's sad, that's bad, that's bad. Get what I'm saying? China is moving different. China is working for their people because they understand that if we get all people out of poverty, we then push them to the middle class, upper class, rich people, we are going to be better. We are going to produce and to sell, and then the surplus, we can sell that outside, in Africa, Asia, Middle East, Europe, America. That's how you do business. That's how you think. Because Asians, and especially China, they have strong leaders that don't play around. They work for themselves, for their country. They know what they've been through. The past, being conquered by the West. And they say, no more this. No more. We don't want that again. But Africa is catching up little by little, and we'll see what's going to happen. And I hope for the best.
Because these are complementary economies, a resource-rich Africa, a technology-rich China. You put the two together, that's a lot of mutual benefit. And that, I think, is actually just what the world needs. But the implication of that is that Asia's share of the world economy peaks at mid-century, but just a little over 50%, and it's a little below 50% by 2100, whereas Africa's share of the world economy, which is 5% today, by the end of the 21st century reaches 30% of world output. What a different world that would be, with Africa being an absolute center of the world economy, not an exploited, impoverished periphery of the world economy. No guarantee of that, but also there's no fundamental reason why that shouldn't be the case, because Africa could achieve a digital economy, electrification, modernization, robotics, everything else. It depends on education and investment more than anything else, and a good economic strategy. So I think that this is not a wrong-headed scenario. In this graph, just using the UN data, the green line at the top is Asia's share of world population, which is 0.6 or 60% today. and it goes down to below 50% by 2100. Africa is the steeply rising blue line here. It goes from 18% of the world population to 37% of the world population in 2100. Incidentally, look at how Asia and Africa by 2100 have more than 80% of the world population, the two regions. The world will be overwhelmingly Asian and African.
That's a fact. Another thing is, I don't know if he's going to say that, but keep in mind that the African population will be under 25 years old. Younger population. That's crazy. That's a great market. That's good for business. Get what I'm saying? That's good for businesses while Europe, America, Middle East, Asia, they are going to have all elder people being the majority of the population. Africa is going to be the number one continent on the planet with the youngest population. And that's good for businesses, that's good for the future. That's why we keep saying Africa is the future. When you have younger population, working class, that's good for the economy. Get what I'm saying? I love that. Love that for us.
2100, roughly 82% in this scenario, with another 5% or so in North America and in South America and in Europe. How interesting. The part of the world that dominated the world will have about 10% of the world population by 2100 on this scenario. Of course, much can change from mass migration to very different patterns of settlement, but this is a huge change in the world. The bottom lines are Europe, Latin America, North America, and Eurasia. They're all small parts of the world. The dominant part of the world is Africa and Asia. If I use a very simple model of economic catching up to ask what would the shares of world output be of different regions of the world, if I use that assumption, basically the core idea is that Africa could have the same kind of catching up that Asia has had over the last 40 years. All of what I am saying is we're in a fundamental change of world history. It's happened. The Western dominance ended around 25 years ago. The idea in Trump's head that the US dominates is about 100 years out of date. So is Trump on almost everything. It doesn't make the situation safe. It means there's actually a very big gap between the political perceptions of American policymakers and the world as it is today. And that gap is very dangerous because the US policymakers, and especially the President of the United States, believe the US still runs the show and believes that the US is still so powerful that it can dictate the terms to the rest of the world. And that's why he thinks he can win the tariff wars, the trade wars, the technology wars, and so forth. All of this, in my view, is wrong because he didn't read Emerging Asia, so he doesn't know what happened. He doesn't understand the reality of our world today. The US is only about 14% of world output. It's about 12% of world trade. And it does not have a chokehold that I can see on any major technology, whether it is semiconductors or artificial intelligence or biotechnology or any other area. It has many advanced technologies, but no chokehold on these technologies.
That's facts. That's facts. Can you get what I'm saying? That's a fact because we know that the West is falling. And We know that Asia is actually the number one on this planet, economically, military speaking. That's it. And we know that Africa is coming. It's coming with a younger population. It's developing slowly but surely. And we need to put our efforts to create better leaders, education, infrastructures, everything we need to keep the population on the motherland, to develop the motherland, to connect the motherland. And from there, we have everything. We have the resources, the minerals. We really don't need much from outside to be a superpower, to dominate the world like we did in the past. It's up to us. And I think we are going to need also the diaspora. Investment, do the back and forth. I know that we all have our lives here outside of Africa, in Europe, Asia, Middle East, North America, Latin America. Okay, but we need to go back in Africa as well. Start businesses, start helping them. Maybe some of us to be in government positions, as a prime minister, as a mayor, whatever, to share and to shift what's going on there. Okay? So it's up to us as well to help them, to change, to showcase them that what they're doing is not good. You should do that way, because we live in the West. We know how they move, what they're doing, how they're plotting against us. We're here to help you. And I think that's going to be a change for us and for them, because if we have a superpower backing us, just like the Asians, immigrants living outside of China, Japan, Korea, they have that backup from their countries. We also, the diaspora, the African diaspora, can have that backup to protect us here, to help us, to lend us money, stuff like that, so we can build here as well, wherever we are. And it's going to be a good thing for both sides. Get what I'm saying? Please don't forget to subscribe, to like, to comment below. It helps the algorithm to show the video, to show the channel to our brothers and sisters all around the world, and we need it. And we try to create a community here. And like I say, one family, different lineage, one tree, different branches. Till next time, take care of you and your family. Peace out.